Brat Smile here, and I am here today to talk to you guys about a very special month. This actually is Autism Awareness Month, as you guys have heard. But yes, it came. April is always Autism Awareness Month as well as Poetry Awareness Month. So I don't know if you guys have heard from other influencers um, that may talk about this topic that are on the spectrum of like um, gosh, I can't even think of their names right now. I watch them all the time. Oh, like Paige Lyle or the Aspie World, Dan. They may talk about these topics as well. So definitely go check them out. But remember to subscribe and like my channel as well. But yeah, so it's Autism Awareness Month. If you guys want to follow Autism Speaks, that's totally fine. A lot of people in the community say not to follow Autism Speaks because it doesn't fully represent the community well of people on the spectrum, adults as well. So you can do what you want. I am not against the organization, but yeah, do what you want. But we're just going to jump right into this video. So today's topic for the video is why it is important for women and girls to get tested on the autism spectrum. Okay, so first of all, I'll tell you guys a little bit of my background. So as you guys know, I am Brat Smile, Brittany Jordan. I am a young woman that's actually going through the process right now of getting a diagnosis or um, a theme from my psychologist. So I'm kind of going through the process right now. The process has been taking a lot longer than I would have expected, just because I had to go through lots of therapy for 6 months, and then yeah, I had to go through therapy for 6 months, and then I had to talk to my psychiatrist about my medication and changes with that. And so it's been a long process. Oh, and I got a lover along the process. I got a boo, as you guys know. So yeah, the process has been a lot longer than I had expected, but I should be this spring and summer going to get an evaluation to see what will happen with that, so I can see how to better advocate for myself and advocate for others. As you guys know on my Instagram, I am an advocate for autism. Okay, so let's just jump right into this. So, why is it important for girls and women to get tested on the autism spectrum? Well, here's why. Just from the research that I've learned, I'm nearly in my late 20s. I did not know a lot about. Okay, so let me take you back to the history first, and then I'll tell you about the research I did. So, 10 years ago, when I was 19, when I was like in my first year of college, the summer after high school, well, I was 18 when I graduated high school. I had just turned 18 that summer. But so 17 actually, because I graduated a month before my birthday. But yeah, anyway, between 17 and 19, when I was coming out of high school, going into my first year of community college, junior college, before university, I had told myself, I read this book, Holly Robinson Pete's Family, with his son, RJ, who was on the autism spectrum. And after reading that book, I told myself I wanted to work with autistic children. So I went to junior college, community college, for about 3 years, studying psychology and sociology. That I will tell you guys about later down the road, because I'm actually in the process of finally getting my degree mailed to me. I think I had like 2 classes left, so I have to see if I still have to take those or if I can opt out of those classes. But yeah, I'm going to take care of that down the road. But I went to school to study psychology and sociology, social sciences in the United States of America, because I wanted to work with autistic children and eventually get into mentoring and be an entrepreneur, because I knew I wanted to be a mentor as well. So I knew I needed that social work background. I had said I wanted to be a social worker in high school, but when I got to like college age, I more so wanted to do the educational mentoring side than just social work paperwork for foster children and things like that, even though I have a passion for that as well, for adoption. So, okay, let's get into this. So back then, and even like further back then, like going back to the 90s, late 90s when I was born, early 90s, mid late 90s, people didn't know a lot about autism and women and girls. They brushed it off for different things. Oh, she's bipolar, or she may be on the schizophrenic spectrum, or she may be just an introvert, or she may be ADHD or something like that. But a lot of those symptoms mask itself to be those things, but a lot of those things actually play into the autism spectrum, because when you are on the spectrum, you have symptoms such as, you have traits such as being very introverted to yourself, being, sometimes your mood may switch, sometimes your behavior may switch because of tics that you may have. Sometimes your behavior may switch because of different quirks that you may have. You may not get along with all the girls and be into makeup and shopping and all that other stuff, but you may like be okay with like having guy friends, and then sometimes you can be looked at as being fresh or something like that, which sometimes my mother growing up, because I had guy friends, thought I was being fast or fresh, and she would tell me, just hang out with your girlfriends, and it took me a long many years to really hang out with like my girlfriends. I did it in middle school and high school growing up because I was into like girly sports like color guard, which is flag twirling, and gymnastics. So I were around females for that. But guys can do those sports too. But even to this day, as a grown woman, I don't like girl trips. I'm not the Cancun type person. Let's go to Cancun, have a girl trip. Let's go to Miami. If I decide to do a girl trip, it's because of like a gospel conference or something, because of my faith, because of my being into Christianity. I would want to go to a gospel conference, and my special interests in conferences. So yeah, even to this day, I'm not really big on like shopping, going out to get my nails done with the girls, going to get my hair done. I do like the spa. I like the spa. So if my boyfriend's out there watching, take me to the spa for my birthday. But I do like the spa, so that's kind of cool. I like doing spas at home, putting avocado on my face, doing different things like that. Okay, so let's get into this. I digress. See, I may be on the spectrum. So, why autism evaluation should be done in girls and women? Well, this is why. A lot of girls and women get overlooked for being on the spectrum. They get told, like I said, they're bipolar or something else is going on because they didn't know a lot in the 80s and 90s about females being on the spectrum. It was more common for males to be on the spectrum, more common for males to be into math and science and technology and engineering. But the more you see girls and women getting into those fields such as STEM and STEAM, you're actually starting to discover, or getting into the fields of the arts, being very talented in music, such as myself, or being very gifted in dance or creative writing, you start to see that, oh, okay, that can be special interests linking to the spectrum. So yeah, so in the 80s and 90s, it wasn't really common. In my day, late 80s, 90s, and early 2000s, it wasn't really as common to see girls on the spectrum. And definitely in my parents' day, like the 60s and 70s, they just didn't know about it. So, if the trait was passed down somewhere in my family, from an aunt or a grandmother, they wouldn't have known about it because it would have been even earlier than the 80s and 90s. It would have been like the 60s and 70s. So it's very important for autism evaluations to be implemented in the school system today with remote learning and with kids learning on their Chromebooks and paraprofessionals and all of that are teaching kids today, and even nannies that teach kids, because I'm a nanny as well. It's very important for those things to be suggested to parents if the parent is willing and open to listen to it. And you don't have to be a psychologist, psychiatrist to suggest, hey, maybe you can get your kid checked out, because it just may be, it may not be, because I have experience in that. But it is recommended now for girls, and it is important for girls and women to be tested on the autism spectrum. So, why late diagnosis is harder? Well, late diagnosis can be harder because you could have gone through most of your adult life or adolescent youth life thinking that you were one way, but you were really another. So, late diagnosis can be, it's harder sometimes in the teen years, 20s and 30s, some people 40s, just because, like I said, it could have been a lot helpful. You could have gotten the IEPs and help that you needed if you had gotten tested in elementary school. So, late diagnosis is also something that is becoming more common for women and girls. I've heard even as late as like 40s and 50s, like women being diagnosed on the spectrum. I thought 20s and 30s were late, but I've heard even as late as 40s and 50s. So, yeah, it's still important. It's never too late to go get an evaluation. It's never too late to check on yourself. It's never too late to be educated about your mental health. As you guys know, mental health has become a huge phenomenon since the pandemic. It was a phenomenon before, but it's definitely become a huge thing since the pandemic. People are zoning in on their mental health. So, yes, it is important for girls and women to get tested on the autism spectrum and not overlooked in the education system and not overlooked in the performing arts because they could be gifted. Sometimes words such as gifted or lazy or bipolar can be used on women that may be on the spectrum or girls that may be on the spectrum, but it may not be. Yes, they are gifted. Yes, we are gifted people out here. They are gifted, but it may not be that they are lazy or procrastinators. Well, some people are procrastinators. It may not be that they're lazy or procrastinators. It may just mean that they are tiny, tiny little bit on the spectrum, like just on the borderline. So yes, it is important for girls and women to get tested. There are so many women that have come out now in their 20s and 30s that are on the spectrum. Like I look up to a lot of women like Paige Lyle. I know Jamie Garce's sister, Morgan Harper Nichols. She came out as being on the spectrum. She's fabulous and amazing. I'm not going to name too many people because I don't want to get copyrighted, but just from me seeing them come out in social media, I think that's really cool. So yeah, it's important for women and girls to be checked out and advocated for. It's important for. Sorry, guys, I'm just doing my weird little hand thing right now. It's just important for women and girls to be checked out as being on the spectrum because you never know what type of help you can get. You never know what type of assistance you can get until you just try. My personal self, when I was in school, I had the special like support systems from teachers and counselors. I had the IEP thing. I had that just because I had a case of epilepsy in my childhood, and that affected my memory, and they thought it was like ADHD or something. So they suggested, the IEP, and my parents fought for it. But it could have been more than that, and that's why I'm advocating for my mental health now because it could have been a little tiny bit of the spectrum. It could have not been. I just don't know. But it's definitely important for women and girls to be checked out for the spectrum. It is not just something in boys and men. Boys and men aren't just the future engineers and future scientists and mathematicians or future musicians. Super. When you look at musicians, you usually think men. Like men are really good with like kinesthetic learning and like with piano and guitar, and that's just so fabulous. But women are also good in that. And you look at women, you think women are good with more language skills and marketing and communication. But women can also be interested in math and technology. Women can also be interested in music and guitar and things like that. So it really just depends on the person, the brain, and the spectrum. So I hope you guys watch the next videos that are coming out. I will be doing more talk on autism, different ways to get resources if you think you want to get tested. I will be talking on how I found my personal psychiatrist and psychologist. We'll just be having a fun time. So I pray you guys are having a great April. Again, April is Autism Awareness Month. It's also Poetry Awareness Month. We will be talking about how poetry and arts helps people to express themselves on any spectrum of life. So I hope you guys tune in for more. I can't wait to see you, and Tito's. Thanks for watching.